march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Globalist social engineers are not just targeting us with propaganda. They are manipulating our genetics. We are being targeted at every level by estrogen mimickers that lower our testosterone and other hormones and natural compounds that the body needs. After consulting top doctors, nutritionists, pharmacists, and others, we have developed what I believe is the ultimate non-GMO organic super male vitality formula sourced from powerful organic herbs and then concentrated for maximum potency. Super Male Vitality was developed to activate your body's own natural processes instead of using synthetic chemicals. Super Male Vitality by InfoWars Life is so powerful that I only take half the recommended dose. For a limited time, we are offering 15% off Super Male Vitality at InfoWarsLife.com to introduce you to this powerful supplement. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today to secure your Super Male Vitality. InfoWarsLife.com. In the last 50 years, iodine has been phased out of our staple foods and replaced with the halogen bromine, a practice now banned in nations around the world. Guess what else is in the halogen family? Fluoride. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Jones here. In 1924, the federal government did the right thing and encouraged salt producers to add iodine. It's the good halogen on the periodic table, and the results are on record. Reports documented a 15-point IQ increase in areas that had previously been deficient in iodine. Bottom line, iodine is important. Unbound, clean, in a glycerin base. Nascent iodine was the answer for myself and my family. You will find Survival Shield Nascent Iodine exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com. InfoWars Life Survival Shield Nascent Iodine isn't just for emergencies. I take it every day. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. Introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gate, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro One filters today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139.
Defending the Republic from enemies, foreign and domestic. It's Alex Jones.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight filling in for Alex. Now, we got a report coming up from John Bowne on the Democrat connection to the KKK. You remember when Tucker Carlson of the Daily Caller was in here live in studio with Alex Jones? They were talking about how the Democrats divide and conquer the public, breaking us into always 2 competing groups. And Alex pointed out that, of course, this has been something, there's a Democrat connection to the KKK that goes back a long way. And so we have a document about that from John Bowne, a kind of investigative report where he goes back and shows you the history, the real history of this. Because we've taken a lot, Alex took a lot of hits from MSNBC and the Young Turks laughing about this. And it's like, really? Really? You're not aware of the history? It's out there. All you have to do is look at it. So John Bowne's got a great report on that. We're going to be coming up with that. But I want to take your calls about CPAC. Because, you know, no matter what these guys are doing, we got 2 different groups really that they're offering us, and we would like to have some other choices, but they've got pretty good control over the electoral process. They pretty much shut any independents and third parties out of the debates, even out of the ballots. You've seen how they rig the electoral process and the primaries. And when I talked to Ben Swan about that, we've got an interview that's going to be airing on the Nightly News the next couple of nights. We talked a great deal about that because he covered that really well during the 2012 election series. But we need to get involved now to make sure that we've got reasonable choices, and that's both in the Democrats as well as Republicans. Right now, the Republicans are all presenting themselves possible presidential candidates, as well as people who just want to weigh in on policy at CPAC 2014. That's happening right now, began yesterday, and we've had people like Marco Rubio speaking there. Rand Paul is going to be talking today. We've had John Bolton weighing in on how he thinks that America has become isolationist. Really? We've got Phyllis Schlafly talking about immigration. Of course, Marco Rubio did not say anything about immigration. We also have Ted Cruz talked about, guess what? Getting rid of the IRS. Let's get a round of applause for that. The IRS has been a criminal organization used as a tool against political enemies for generations. But now they're doing it in the open even after they get caught. They take the Fifth Amendment, even though you're not allowed to take the Fifth Amendment on your tax return. The arrogance and the criminality of this institution, and the fact that they're now tied into Obamacare, and the fact that we've got senators like Ted Cruz talking about getting rid of the IRS because of this obvious corruption now. I find that as a very positive thing. I remember 20 years ago we talked about this in the Libertarian Party, and people say they're not going to take you seriously until you stop talking about getting rid of the IRS and the income tax. Well, you know what? It's an idea whose time has come. We need to look at the corruption. We need to think about other ways that we need to fund the government. Actually, that the IRS doesn't even come, the income tax doesn't even come close. Doesn't even come close to funding this government, because most of the funding of the government is a burden that we're placing on future generations. Most of the programs of this government are funded by debt, not by taxes. And those debts will be paid by taxes by future generations to come. But let's talk. Well, I want to take some phone calls right after this special report. I'm going to go to John Bound's report. But I want to get your take on what we've seen here at CPAC. I hope you're paying attention, because you should pay attention right now as to what these people are saying. That 800 number is 800-259-9231. I want to take calls about CPAC. We're going to talk a little bit more about what some of these people have said in the last couple of days. And, of course, Rand Paul will be talking this afternoon, and you've got a lot of buzz on NPR and other news outlets saying that Marco Rubio is going to be the opposition to Rand Paul, the anti-Rand Paul. So we're going to let's talk about that. So give us a call at 800-259-9231 if you want to weigh in on what some of the people have been saying at CPAC. But right now, let's go to this special report from John Bound. Again, MSNBC and the Young Turks are laughing at the idea that there was ever any connection between the Democrats and the Ku Klux Klan. Well, here's the report.
I mean, Alex Jones may sound crazy, but still has 300 million YouTube. Well, he had 300 million people that have watched him on YouTube, and that sort of fringe, arch-conservative, deeply, I think, racist strain is being tapped into at crazy profit by people in the media.
Well, it is. The Democrats have been on the offensive for far too long, deeming any who oppose their views as racist. But many people don't realize that it was the Republican Party that spearheaded the abolition movement, beginning with Democratic Republican Party member Thomas Jefferson. Yes, Jefferson was a slaveholder, but he included bold anti-slavery language in the original draft of the Declaration of Independence. That was removed. As president on March 2nd, 1807, Jefferson signed the act prohibiting importation of slaves. This act took effect in 1808 and was the earliest allowed under the Constitution. In 1863, Republican President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which freed slaves held in the Confederate States. The 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution took effect in December 1865 and finally ended slavery throughout the United States. That year, the Ku Klux Klan was founded. Historian Eric Foner observed that basically the Klan was the military muscle behind the agenda of the Democratic Party, the plantation owner class, and all those truly afflicted with a mental disorder that is racism. The Klan's purposes were to reverse the interlocking changes sweeping over the South during Reconstruction, to destroy the Republican Party's infrastructure, undermine the Reconstruction state, reestablish control of the black labor force, and restore racial subordination in every aspect of Southern life. By any means necessary, the Klan sought this agenda by threats and violence, including the murder against black and white Republicans. The federal government passed the Force Acts to combat the Klan, but they rose up again. More than 2,000 people were killed, wounded, and otherwise in Louisiana within a few weeks prior to the presidential election of November 1868. Although the parish had registered a Republican majority of 1,071, after the murders, no Republicans voted in the fall elections. White Democrats cast the full vote of that parish for Republican Ulysses S. Grant's opponent. The KKK killed and wounded more than 200 black Republicans. 13 captives were taken from jail and shot. A pile of 25 bodies was found in the woods. The Klan made people vote Democratic and gave them certificates of that fact. Furnifold Simmons, a Democratic chairman, ranted about the pervasiveness of black power in an editorial for the Raleigh News and Observer. The Republican Party has the Negro on its hands, and it has to pay some respect to his wishes, the Democrat explained. Furthermore, to hold the Negro solid, the party must give him local offices in the counties and towns where he is numerous. If the party gives him these local offices, then bad government must follow. The Democrat reasoned with obvious stupidity. In 1939, Planned Parenthood pioneer and leftist Margaret Sanger began the Negro Project. To bring people along willingly, she enlisted black preachers to support sterilization. She outlined the deceitful plan in a letter to Clarence Gamble of the Procter & Gamble empire.
We should hire 3 or 4 colored ministers, preferably with social service backgrounds and with engaging personalities. The most successful educational approach to the Negro is through a religious appeal. We don't want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population.
During the 1950s and 1960s, the Klan forged alliances with Southern police departments. Several members of the KKK groups were convicted of murders and the deaths of civil rights workers and children in the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham. Meanwhile, a group of African-American students enrolled in Little Rock Central High School in 1957. Their enrollment was followed by the Little Rock Crisis, in which the students were initially prevented from entering the racially segregated school by the governor of Arkansas. It took the intervention of a Republican President Eisenhower to allow the Little Rock Nine to make American civil rights history. As the horrors of the national civil rights battle dragged on, Democratic President LBJ was pressured to sign the Civil Rights Act of 1964, outlawing discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, and the Voting Act of 1965, designed to enforce the voting rights guaranteed by the 14th and 15th Amendments to the United States Constitution. But behind closed doors, LBJ said this: "These Negroes, they're getting pretty uppity these days, and that's a problem for us since they've got something now they never had before. The political pull to back up their uppityness. Now, we've got to do something about this. We've got to give them a little something that's just enough to quiet them down, not enough to make a difference. I'll have them, N-word, voting Democratic for the next 200 years.
And it's so frustrating to see all of this unfolding and the fact that they're using race-based politics to say, turn your guns in or you're racist. Support Obamacare or you're racist. And whites have been so conditioned to be politically correct that they could say, go jump off a cliff, white person, or you're racist. And the average white person would probably jump off a cliff, even with their newborn baby, if ordered to do so by Rachel Maddow or Ed Schultz.
The horrific history of the Democratic Party all but forgotten. Gradually, the Republican Party that had been carrying the torch for the rights of all men was painted into the white Southern racist party by the Democrats.
They're trying to act like they have no connection in the past and in the present to what I'm talking about, literally preying on your ignorance.
Welfare that had supported the poor white man now went to the 70% of the minority population that gleefully shifted over to the Democratic Party, not even realizing that they had been led into a life of welfare and a system designed to destroy the family. This report is not an endorsement of either party. It is simply the history that we must relearn or be doomed to repeat.
See, the globalists are playing everybody off against everybody. That's why we have to unify around ideas and liberty, not around skin color.
Exactly right. Great special report there from John Bound. We have to wake up to the games that they've played. We have to not get total amnesia about history. If we allow them to flush this down the memory hole, we will never really understand how this is how we got to where we are, and how they're playing people. I love the quote that John Bowne had in there.